Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, I am Eddie Oz. This is All Things Eddies. We are basically covering every facet of my life, which happens to be business, fitness, and all things cars. Today, we are recording for the first time ever my health and fitness journey, past and present, and avoiding burnout and change of setting. We are at my house, so this is very personal. You want to come on tour? This is not MTV Cribs. This is the one, son. This is the one. James, this is the one. Episode 10, we are doing this one time only. What better place to do my health and fitness journey than in the kitchen where abs are made? True? This is All Things Eddies, and a big part of my life and what has shaped me is my fitness crusade. It is my fitness journey. I've been through it all. I've experienced the highs and lows, the many ups and downs. I've done it all. And I hope that there's a takeaway from this, from me to you. Hopefully there's value for the automotive crowd. Hopefully there's value for the business crowd. And hopefully my fitness fans aren't like, this guy's not fit, because I am. I'll take you on. It all started in 2007. I was in year 12 and I gave up everything just to study. Have you noticed the trend with me? I go 0 to 100. Follow me on Instagram, by the way, at Wealth and Fitness. You guys will see I'm doing so many different things every single day. Do Q&As. We're going to answer some of your questions at the end of this vlog. But if you're not already following, follow me on there. So the year was 2007. In year 12, hated everything I had become physically because I was so fixated on my studies. Psychological warfare from my parents. They told me that the only way to become something is to have a good career. So that is what I did, and that is what I achieved. I got into law and finance, but physically I wasn't me. I started gaining weight because my best friend became the fridge.
I love you.
I didn't know anything about macronutrients. I didn't know anything about micronutrients. I didn't know anything about diets, because there's a lot of diets these days, cleanse juices and juicing and fasting and all that jazz. All I knew, or all I thought I knew, was that if I ran, I would lose weight. And so that's what I did in the most simplistic way. I decided to make a track around my house. I think it was 3 kilometers in length. I just decided to run. Run, Eddie, run. I decided to run, and my goal was to one day be able to run all of that track and then to start extending the length. And eventually, 6 months in, it was really hard in the beginning. It was really, really hard. I don't want to get into the tedious day-to-day, but it was hard. I was like walking 95% of the track, running 5% of it, and I felt hopeless. I actually felt like giving up right from the onset. Like, you guys know when you do cardio, time feels like it goes forever. That's what it felt like for me. But I knew that if I stuck true to it, eventually I'd get there. I think that's the hardest part, to be able to stick the course even when it is difficult. And eventually I found myself running 95% of the track, and my body composition changed. I started to lose weight, and guess what? I wasn't fixated on the numbers either. I didn't really care for them. I just wanted to get fitter. I just wanted to prove to myself that I could run past that block. And everything with my body slowly started to change because of all the physical output that I had started. And then a friend of mine took me to the gym, and I found a new passion to be obsessed about. I remember the day vividly. We were training chest and I could barely hold the dumbbells up. We were chest pressing everywhere. Mom! And I had DOMs the next day. I enjoyed the pain. Maybe I'm a masochist, I don't know. But I really enjoyed being able to strengthen and condition myself and to physically change my body. I think that's what really got me addicted. You know, I knew that my efforts could be compounded by how my body was changing. It just sort of further catalyzed my pursuit for everything to do with bodybuilding and fitness in general. And so that's what I did. I kept going to the gym, and eventually it got to a point where I became way too serious. I basically blocked out every other facet of my life, friends, family, studies. I was just so fixated on training and my diet and cooking and the fact that I wanted to compete. I started weighing out everything. I started weighing my oil right down to the gram on the scales. It became a lot, I was cooking like 3 to 4 hours a day. I had no time for anything else. And I got extremely lean. I got really, really lean. James, cue to some footage of me being absolutely lean. I got to a point where I couldn't concentrate on anything else. Basically, studies were out the window. I would read the same page of my textbook 7 times over and I couldn't concentrate on anything. Nothing would stick. Nothing would stay with me. And I had a difficult choice to make at the time. I'm like, do I compete? Knowing that everyone knew that I was competing because I was tracking it on bodybuilding.com. I had a thread of mine, not many viewers, but I had also told friends and family that I was competing. I felt like, you know, I'm the type of person that will see something through 100% of the way, but it got to a point where it was detrimental to both my mental and physical state. And I had a difficult choice to make whether or not I decided to continue pursuing it. And so I really preferenced my career at that point, or what I thought would be my career, over my training. And I stopped training. And that is really where it was the beginning of the end for me, because I started burning my candle from both ends. You know, I was so fixated on the numbers that I fell out of love with passion of mine. And I started realizing that what I was studying wasn't something that I genuinely enjoyed. So I wanted to find balance, and I found it with Do You Even. I decided to take that passion of mine and turn it into a viable e-commerce platform. You guys already know it. That's a story for another day. We're going to do a full documentary on that, by the way. I decided to double down on the business, and I basically sacrificed everything. I sacrificed the one thing that made me want to go into the business that I was in, fitness and training. Look good, feel good. I wanted to make other people feel better about themselves, and yet I was making myself feel worse. Everything that the brand stood for, I had become the exact opposite. You know, we're all about inspiring and motivating the inner fitter individuals to leave their mark, to make them feel good, to make them look good, to be able to equip them, you know, and motivate them to get themselves in the right shape with the right gear. Everything that the brand stood for, I had become the exact opposite, and I hated myself for it. If you guys haven't already noticed, there's a pattern here. I went all in and I neglected every other facet of my life, and that led to an inefficient version of myself. You know, I hated everything that I had become again. My weight ended up fluctuating to 110 kilos at its peak, and I was like, this needs to change. I need to stop going 0 to 100 with every facet of my life, and I need to find balance, because if you can't find balance, you can't be efficient. You can't be the best version of yourself. And I need to be. In this day and age, I need to be. If I'm not the best version of myself, I'm letting you guys down. I won't be doing stories. I won't be doing content. I won't feel like doing it. You know, if I'm not the best version of myself, I let the brand down. I let the people behind the brand down. Everyone's reliant on me in some way, shape, or form. And if I'm not the best version of myself because I haven't achieved equilibrium between my mind and body, then I'm not going to be efficient. And if I'm inefficient, it leads to slowing down, less progress, and eventually everything just crumbles underneath you. You'll feel like quitting. You'll feel like it's too tough. You'll feel like, I don't know, a demon to your own mind. That was weird. You get what I'm saying? Like, you'll feel stagnant. You'll feel like you can't progress. And you'll feel like in order to progress, it's too hard. It's too much of a challenge. I returned back to the one thing that got me in shape the first time round, and that was running. And in this case, soccer. I did 5 back-to-back seasons of soccer, and I found it extremely therapeutic. I don't have my phone on me, and the only thing that I'm worried about is being able to breathe, being able to run. I'm just concentrating on my next movement. And for me, it puts me in this weird flow state. The reason why it puts me in this weird flow state is because I'm monotasking. I'm not thinking about anything else. And it's extremely therapeutic and helped me equalize, or find that equilibrium between both my mind and body. And guess what ensued? I got my cardiovascular fitness back, and I found something that promoted health and fitness again in a much more sustainable way. I had balance again. And so this is where my training has led to. This is what I've adopted in every facet of my life now, to be able to get the most efficient version of me. And that's why I thought I'd tell you guys this story today. You know, life's about finding balance and avoiding burnout, because as soon as you hit burnout, you're going to hit roadblocks mentally. That's what burnout is, essentially. You just feel like you can't do anymore, even when you can. Balance ultimately leads to longevity when it comes to training. I'm 30 right now. I'm going to be 40 in a decade, and my training in my 40s and 50s is going to be heavily reliant on all the good habits that I've learned in my teens, 20s, and 30s. People are so fixated on the scale when when it comes to weight loss or their weight journey. People are so fixated on numbers when it comes to how much they lift and how big they are. All of these measures aren't a form of sustainability or longevity, because ultimately life will happen. You'll get older, and if you constantly penalize yourself for weighing slightly different, you're going to live a terrible life, because you're always going to be a slave to your mind. You know, if you find something that makes you happy with your training, whether it's your conditioning, whether it's learning a new art form, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. I want you guys to be able to be the best versions of yourself. And the way in which I realized that was through balance in my life. And now I want to take you guys through my current training methodology and why I think what I've adopted is going to lead to a much more sustainable training path for myself and really give me longevity with my health and fitness. The last thing I want is to be fixated on numbers. You know, I know a lot of people demonize themselves for fluctuations in weight. They go on these health crusades where, you know, they do a juice cleanse or fast, quick result type training methodologies. And unfortunately, all of those don't work in the long term. You'll give them up. Life's going to happen. When you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, what do you think the scale will say then? I want you guys to form good habits that teach a sustainable method of training that really gives you longevity. I've gone through all of these changes in my teens to early 20s to me turning 30 next month. And what I've really learned is I need to find stuff that I genuinely love pursuing and really play the long game. Anyway, let me take you guys downstairs. God, we were recording for so long. Guys, we are doing this so that you can find some value from the advice that we're giving. We're out here recording when I should be at work, but we are doing it all for our fans and followers, because without you, I wouldn't be here. So I want to be able to give back now. So let's do it. So keeping everything in mind that I just said before, we are in the downstairs gym. I've recently taken up boxing just to learn a new craft, to keep my mind sharp and my body able. You know, I really want to focus on mobility, flexibility, really emulating the cardiovascular endurance that I got from soccer, but from a different sport. And because my knee is I'm still strengthening and rehabilitating my knee, I wanted to find something explosive that I could do with my upper body that sort of emulated that exact same cardiovascular endurance. And that's what I've done. I recently actually watched a podcast from Joe Rogan, just a short JRE clip that had Fahad Zahabi. I think I've butchered his name. We've got to find it. But he talked about sustainable training methods. And he basically said that, you know, people should really look for training in volume rather than intensity, because naturally intensity can only be emulated once in a while. If you really want to get better at something, if you want to improve your cardiovascular endurance, if you want to be able to improve a new craft, you're going to be playing the volume game. And for me, volume is a key part of rehabilitating my knee, because I want to be able to train on it 3 or 4 times a week. I want to be able to strengthen my upper body 3 or 4 times a week. I want to be able to train 3 or 4 times a week, you know, for all these different facets of fitness. And the only way in which to do that is to be able to have the volume rather than emulating intensity. You know, once in a while I'll emulate intensity to try and get hypertrophy with growing my muscles. But for me, it's been the volume game which has allowed me to rehabilitate myself so quickly. And it's something that I now want to adopt for the remaining years of my life. Like, I don't really care about the number on the scale anymore. I don't really care about my body composition. I feel like those things will naturally gravitate towards where they're meant to be based on my output. And the only way that I'm going to get more output is by having more volume. So the trickiest thing that I've found is being able to stop myself from going too intense, being able to stop myself from doing too many reps, because the last thing I want is pain and DOMS, and to stop myself from loving the newfound balance that I have in my life. Again, I've been saying it throughout this entire vlog. I'm so serious on it. The only way to get the best out of yourself is to have balance between mind and body. And this place has been my little escape away from my day-to-day micromanaging of the business. I train late at night because it's the only time that I've got. And so this little space is my private little space to get in a training session when I can't hit the gym. You know, you can pick up a lot of this equipment from Facebook Marketplace. I actually, you know, picked it up from a seller there for wholesale rates, so they were quite cheap. All the other equipment though is from Rebel Sport. And then this also leads into the double garage. I know this isn't an MTV Cribs episode, but you know, we have been talking a lot about health and fitness. Maybe it is time to show a little bit of the car. Got the Lambo. Skyline's generally here. We do have an update vlog coming on that soon. We've ordered some new parts. As soon as those parts come in, V-Spec Performance is going to fit it, and then we'll do an episode on that, and then obviously we're going to fit the body kit and all that jazz, but that's a story for another time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we're going to wrap up, go back to work, and I'll answer some of your questions that we had on Instagram. So it is the next day. We've already edited the vlog. I know it's 16 minutes in length, so I want to keep this really, really short. It is really difficult to condense a decade of my life into a couple of minutes. So I found myself actively trying to condense the information in my head as I'm trying to tell you guys, just so that we can give you guys engaging content and valuable content. And I don't want to ramble on too long, but again, it is difficult to try and shorten and condense a decade of my own learnings and teachings into one episode. So I think, we'll end up revisiting this sometime later in the future. We're only 10 vlogs in, we're constantly learning, we're on the go. James, you get it, everyone gets it. We're very early on, just hit double digits. So we'll end up recording a few more vlogs about my past and how it's shaping my present. But for now, we'll do the Q&A. Do have my hat on, it is cold. Just bleep that out. So this question comes from rpado93. If any, what is your number one regret? I think I have many regrets, but I also feel like all of these regrets have ultimately allowed me to learn. And these learnings allow me to become more efficient. So my number one regret would probably be inefficiency. And my inefficiency stemmed from the fact that I wanted to do everything myself, micromanaging too many different things, whilst losing focus on the bigger picture, the macro, because when you're constantly trying to do all the smaller things, you can never see up top. Inefficiency with time because of micromanaging too many different things. That is a huge regret of mine. Another regret would be overcomplicating things. I feel like everyone has a tendency to overcomplicate situations. And when you overcomplicate, you overthink. When you overthink, you don't produce. When you don't produce, you don't have any progress. Cadet Colt says, you like chicken, my dude? Yes, I like chicken. Actually had chicken paella from UPS. Really, really, really good. It was actually really good. Kashkar, where do we apply for a job? We answered this in the last Q&A. careers@doyoueven.com. If you haven't already sent your CV and application, feel free to do so. Whenever a job listing opens up, we'll go through applications, and if you fit the credentials, then you might be the next person to join Do You Even. Shivam_carboy says, I don't know much about Do You Even, but why it started as a clothing brand, I'm just curious. James, we've been recording 10 vlogs now, but we don't have enough content to tell the full story. And we really want to do a documentary piece on Do You Even and how it first began. I'm going to leave this question to be answered in a big documentary. What do you guys think? Should we do that? Thumbs up on the video if you guys think that we should do like a documentary style video of Do You Even, or would you prefer short little increments of telling the story piece by piece? Let us know. Jason R says, tips to start a clothing brand. Look, if you genuinely love the fashion industry, and that's something that you definitely want to pursue from a design standpoint, from a business standpoint, your first best step is to map out a business model. Figure out the brand, figure out your brand message, figure out what makes you guys unique, figure out your entry point, your price point, and then figure out your brand language and how you're going to market the brand. Everything is about testing the market and learning where exactly you fit in the market. I think the industry is big enough to facilitate and cater to everyone. If it's genuinely a passion of yours, you'll figure it out. You'll be able to find out information online. Google is your best friend. Gary Vee said Google is your new mother.
Google is your mother.
So you can Google tips on how to map out a business model, but that would be my steps, and then design a product, produce the product, and then market it based on the business model that you mapped out. That's it. Any tips for someone moving into their first warehouse? At Stacey. My first tip would be not to break budget, live within your means, and 2, make sure that you're utilizing the space as best as possible, as efficiently as possible. That'd be the 2 tips. Rambo Sarach says, pros and cons of local trade and international trade. Well, pros of local trade, the efficiency with delivery, cost to consumer, it's quite cheap. The cons obviously is that you're limiting yourself. There's a bigger market internationally. The cons of trading internationally would be customs and duties that your international consumers would have to pay, shipping and freight times, and processing and handling returns. That would be the cons of international trade that you would need to alleviate as you continue to grow your business. I think if you can cater for those three things in terms of international trade, then you're winning. I think that's it. James, is that a wrap? Oh my God. We have wrapped up. This was a long episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope that there's a takeaway there for everyone. I hope that you guys have found some value from all the information that we've given in episode 10. If you like the content, feel free to give it a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at Wealth and Fitness, and you can search for me on Facebook, Turk. James, I'm done, man. I'm so done. I'm out of the building. James, I'm out. James, as soon as I get this working, I'm gone, man. I'm out. See you, mate. James, I need to start again.
The whole thing. No, bro.